Question 1. So we're dealing with unit rates, and let's just see what we have. So this one looks more like what you did in the 6th grade. So you have Julie's grading has some papers. She can grade 18 papers. I'll just write P in 3 hours. So to find the unit rate, we want to change that so that it's 1 hour at the bottom, right? So imagine this as a fraction. You're simplifying. How do I make that 3 become a 1? I divide by 3 at the bottom, and then I'll divide the top by 3. So that's 18 divided by 3, or 6 papers in 1 hour. And how many will she grade in 7 hours? Well, let's make a new rate over here, and then we're going to use our unit rate to find out how much she does in 7 hours. So our 1 hour changes to 7 hours. Now it's times 7. So on the top, I'm going to multiply times 7. And I get 42 papers. Okay. 2. Now this is a best deal type of question. So we have 2 situations. On this side, Sam paid $5.25 for 3 pencils. And Taylor paid $6.50 for 40 pencils. 35 pencils, by the way, here. And we want to compare. Well, usually it makes it easier if you find the unit rate. So I write P here, P here. So the unit rate is price per pencil. So how much would 1 pencil be? So again, if you think of it as a fraction, you want to simplify, right? You want to simplify, so my denominator is 1. We're comparing this to 1 pencil, so 35 would be 35 divided by 35 gives you 1. And on top, I'm going to divide 525 by 35. And 525 by 35 is a number. By 35 equals 0. So every pencil here costs 15 cents. In this case, Taylor, I write 1p for pencil. So let's divide by 40. And on top, divide by 40. And 6.5 divided by 40 is going to give us 0.1625, or we're going to round it to 0.16. So obviously the best deal is Sam. Sam has the best deal of $5.25. 35 pencils. Okay. Now we're moving on to what you, I believe, did today. So we're talking about 8 degrees every 8/4 of an hour. How much is the rate per hour? So here's our ratio that we have. So we can write 8 degrees, right? 8 degrees in 4/5 of an hour, right? So if you want to change that to your unit rate, it's going to be 1 hour, right? Because we're comparing it to 1 unit. So how did the 4/5 become 1 hour? Well, we're going to divide that, right? Or multiply that actually by 5/4. I'm going to multiply the top by 5/4. When we multiply by the reciprocal, right? Look what happens at the bottom. This 5 and this 5, this 4 and this 4 crosses out, and I'm left with a bunch of 1s. And 1 times 1 divided by 1 times 1 is just 1 hour, and that's how I get 1 hour. On the top, 8 degrees times 5/4, so I get, so let me just do that over here. 8 times 5/4. I can put the 8 over 1. I can simplify before I multiply. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I get 2 times 5 is 10. So on the top, I can write 10 degrees. So the unit rate is 10 degrees in 1 hour. Much easier to understand it compared to 1 hour as opposed to 4/5 of an hour, right? 4. In the science experiment, the temperature of something decreases by 1/10 of a degree. So let's go for it. Every 1/10 of a degree at 2/3 of a minute. Every 2/3 of a minute. We want to find the unit rate. The unit rate is when one of the units is 1. So we want to change that 2/3 of a minute to a minute. Here we're going to write degree. So how do I change this 2/3 to become 1 minute? I'm going to multiply that by its reciprocal, which is 3/2. And then obviously I'm going to multiply the top by 3/2. So at the bottom, this and this will cross out, all becoming just 1. And that's how I get 1 minute. On the top, 1/10 times 3 over 2 is going to be, well, 1 times 3 is 3, and 10 times 2 is 20. So the unit rate here is 3/20th of a degree in 1 minute. Okay, and you can explain that at the bottom. 5. So a biker travels 11 miles in 1/4 of an hour. Find out how many travels in 1 hour. Again, it's the unit rate, so let's write a rate. Our initial rate is 11 miles in 1/4 of an hour. But I want to know what the unit rate is in 1 hour. How do I change 1/4 to 1 hour? I'm going to multiply that by the reciprocal, which is 4 over 1. I'll multiply the top by the same thing, which is 4 over 1. Here, everything gets simplified, right? And I get 1 hour because it's just a bunch of ones. On top, it's going to be 11 times 4 over 1, which is just going to be 44. So the biker can drive, can go 44 miles in 1 hour. 6, that's a little bit different. So it says this person can go 4/7 of a mile in 1/3 of a mile, 1/3 of an hour. But we want to find out how much this group can hike in 12 hours. So that's what we want here. That's our goal. So one way of doing this is to change this to a unit rate. So let's find our unit rate. So let's change 1/3 of an hour. So that becomes in 1 hour. So this, we know that the group of hikers can go 4/7 of a mile in 1/3 of an hour. But let's find out how far they can go in 1 hour. So let's change this to its reciprocal, to its unit rate. So by that, I got multiply by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3 over 1. I'll multiply the top by 3 over 1. So at the bottom, I'm going to get, well, this will all simplify. Just get 1 hour. And on top, 4 over 7 times 3 over 1 is going to give me 12 over 7. Right? So 12 over 7 miles. And I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction for now. Now, we're going to use this to figure out how much they can travel in 12 hours. Well, if 1 hour they can do this much, 12 over 7 miles, in 12 hours, we're going to multiply that by 10, right? And multiply this by 12. So 12/7 times 12 is just going to be 144 over 7. 144 over 7 miles. And we can change that to a unit rate, or to a mixed number. And that's going to be 20 and 4/7 miles. So that group in 12 hours can travel 20 and 4/7 miles. So we can write, that's another way. But if you left it like this, that would have been fine too. Okay, so next set of questions. So this one, let's see if I can, how do I do this? If I extend this, nope. Uh-oh. What was that? Oh, okay. So Mark uses 3/4 tablespoon of coffee to make 10 coffees. How much would it need to make 1 cup of coffee? So it's going to be tough to do. Hang on a second. Let me pause the video. Okay, so I can split the screen here. So first one says 3 3/4 tablespoon of coffee to make 10 cups. How much would it be needed to make 1 cup of coffee? So our relationship is 3 3/4 tablespoons. I'll write T. I'll write tablespoons. Tablespoons. And with that, he can make 10 cups of coffee. Now, it's asking us for how many tablespoons to make 1 simple cup of coffee. So, divide by 10 at the bottom, and we're going to divide the top by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1 cup, and that's how I got my denominator to be 1. And on top, I'm going to multiply 3 3/4 divided by 10. So you can take that to your calculator. And 3 3/4 is the same thing as 3.75 So you can input that number as a fraction or input that number as a decimal in your calculator. And I'm going to divide that by 10. And I'm going to get 0.35, 0.375, or you know what, let's see what, I'm going to do it as a fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 3 is 15, 15 over 4 times 1 over 10, and it's going to be 2, 3. You're going to need, something's wrong here, 5, 3, 12, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, 15 over 4. I'm going to divide by 10, which means multiply by 1/10. 15 over 4 times 1/10, that's correct. 5 goes into 15 3 times, 5 it goes into 10 2 times, so that's going to be 3 over 8. So we can say 3/8 of a tablespoon to make 1 cup of coffee. Okay. Next, we have the drama corps order 15 pizzas for the party. 25 members ate 12 and a half out of the 15. How much pizza did each cast member eat? So we have how much pizza? So 12 and a half. 12 and a half pizzas for 25 cast members. That's a relationship. Okay, I want to know how much one cast member, so how much did one person, one member of that cast party ate in terms of pizza. So this one is simple, divide by 25, and then also the top, I'm going to divide by 25. So 12 and a half, and you can put 12.5 divided by 25 equals to 0.5, or half a pizza for each cast member. Number 3, chocolate chip cookie will make 3 dozen chocolate chip. The recipe calls for, let me write this down, 2 1/4 cup of flour and 3/8 baking soda. If she wants to adjust the recipe between 1 cup of baking soda, how many cups of flour would she need to use? So if she used 1 cup of soda, how much cups of flour? So you got to find the relationship here. And to find the relationship, you're going to have to divide 1 by 3/8, or figure out what number times 3/8 will give you 1. So in this one, it's easy, right? It's 8 over 3, because this one will cut up, right? And you get 1 soda. So on the top, you got to multiply it by 8 over 3. So it's 2 1/4 times 8 over 3. You can put that in your calculator. I don't have a fraction calculator, so I'm just going to do this 4 times 2 is 8. So I get 9 over 4 times 8 over 3. And it's going to be 6. I'm going to need 6 cups of flour if I'm going to use 1 cup of soda. So that's what I'm going to have to use. Okay. Let's try and make this. Number 4, standard bathtub holds 70 gallons of water. On average, it takes 7.5 minutes to drain the bathtub. How many gallons of water does it each minute? So we can say, well, if the bathtub is full, it's 70 gallons, and it's going to take 7.5 minutes to drain, right? Which means in 1 minute, how much does it drain? Well, 7.5 minutes, you could have written 7.5. Okay, so if you do that as a fraction, I'm going to change, right at the bottom, 70 gallons 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 is 15 over 2 minutes. Or if you did it as a decimal, you can write 70 gallons over 7.5 minutes. So all of them is the same problem. So I don't have a fraction calculator, but it's going to be, in this case, times 2 over 15. This 2 and this 2 simplified, this 15 and this 15 simplified. That's how I get my m by itself, or 1m. And on the top, I'm going to multiply 70 times 2 over 15. That's going to give us, let's see, 70 times 2 over 15. This is 3. That's 14. And 14 times 2 is 28. So 28 gallons per minute. If you did it as a decimal, you can just simply divide this by 7.5 and divide the top by 7.5. And 70 divided by 7.5, if I did it correctly, it's the same answer. Oh my god, 70 divided by 7.5. Nope, I did it wrong. So something, what did I do wrong here? Oh, I forgot divided by 3. It's 14 times 2 on top divided by 3. So it should have been 9.33 gallons. So this is absolutely wrong. It should have been 9.33 gallons. Okay, so that's the rate, 9.33 gallons per minute. That's that it trains. Okay. Where's this way? We have question 6. Mackenzie ran the Olympics at 2:26 1/5 of a mile in 5 4/5 of an hour. We want to see how much did he run. She ran in 1 hour. So the easiest thing for you to do is probably change this to an improper fraction. Not easiest, forgive me. Well, choice. The other one would change it to a decimal, which is probably what I would do. But let's keep it as a fraction. So 26 1/5 is going to be the same thing as 5 times 26. If I change that to a mixed number, 130 plus 1 is going to get 131 miles. What is this? 131 over 5 miles over 5 times 5 is 25. 25 plus 4 is 29. Over 29 over a fifth hour. I'm going to change that to 1 hour. And to do that, I'm going to multiply this by the reciprocal, which is 5 over 29. 5 and 5 cross out, 29 and 29 cross out, and that's how I get my 1 over here. On top, I'm going to multiply by 5 over 29 again. This 5 and this 5 will cross out. I'm going to have 131 miles, 131 miles, 131 over 29 miles in 1 hour. And that you can change to a mixed number if you so choose. And we'll do it here. 131 divided by 29 is, I don't know, 5. No, it's 5 too much. 4. 4 is up too much. 3. No, it has to be 4, 36. 4 times 9 is 36. Go 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. And I don't know what I'm doing. So let me divide this again. 131 divided by 29. We said 4 times 9 is 36. Goes 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. And it's going to be 15 left over. So it's going to be 4 and 15 over 29 miles in 1 hour. So that's the relationship you could have written. Great, I just spilled a whole cup of tea all over the table. Pitcher grew 4 1/3 inches during a 3.5 month growth spurt. If his growth spurt continued at the same rate, how much did he grow in 1 month? So we want to find the unit rate. So 4 1/3 inches in what? 3.5 months. We want to find out what was his growth rate every month, right? So obviously, what I guess since we're doing this complex fraction, I'm going to change this. So 3 times 4 is 12. So another way of writing that is 13/3 inches over. This would be 2 times 3 is 6, 7/2 months, right? And I'm going to change that to 1 month. So I just rewrote the problem. And well, let's take care of it. So here at the bottom, I multiply by 2/7. Multiply the top by 2/7. This and this, this and this, and I'm left with just a month, which is what I have here on the right side. 13/3 times 2/7. Well, nothing to simplify, so 13 times 2 is 26. 3 times 7 is 21 inches, which I'm going to now rewrite that instead of 26/21. 26/21 is 21 goes one time into 26, 5 left over, 1 and 5/21. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write 1 and 5/21 inches in 1 month. So that's how much it grew per month. Spray bottle. There it is. Where are we? 7. During one winter snowstorm, Jesse noticed 16 inches of snow, so 16 inches of snow fell in 5 1/3 hours. How much did it snow per hour? So in 1 hour, how much snow did it come? So we're going to change this again. So instead of, I'm going to write 16 inches. Instead of 5 1/3 hours, I'm going to write 3 times 5 is 6, 15 plus 1, 16/3 hour. Only because it makes life easier when I have to figure out. So again, I want the unit rate, so we're going to compare it to 1 hour. And to change that, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3/16 and 3/16 at the top. Well, at the bottom, 16 and 16, 3 and 3 all simplify to 1. And that's how I get 1 hour. On the top, 16 times 3/16. Well, the 16 and the 16 will cross out, leaving me with 3 on the top. So basically, it fell 3 inches per hour. Tina's car traveled 111 miles in 3/8 of a tank of gas. How much would she be able to go? She had a full tank of gas, so 111 miles is this much gas. If she had 1 full tank of gas, how much would she go? Well, this one multiplied by 8/3. Multiply the top by 8/3. That simplifies, right, to 1, and on top is 111 times 8/3 is just going to become 888. So I'm going to write this 888 over 3 miles, which we're going to change that. So 888, I'm going to divide that by 3. It's going to be 2, 6, 28, 9, 27, 18. I could have just used a calculator. 3 times, it's going to be 200 or 296 miles in 1 full tank of gas. Okay. What are we doing? 9. Number 9. Joey entered a hot dog eating competition. He ate 30.5 hot dogs in 3 3/4 minutes. And I'm going to write hot for hot dogs. How much did he eat in 1 minute per minute? Well, I'm going to make some changes here. So I'm going to write, instead of 30.5, I'm going to write 2 times 30 is 60, 61/2 hot dogs. And instead of 3 3/4 minutes, I'm going to multiply 4 times 3, which is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. 15 over 4 minutes. And the same thing. I just rewrote it using improper fractions. So at the bottom, multiply this by 4/15, right? That, and that all simplified to 1, which is what I got here. On the top, I'm going to multiply by 4/15 as well. Can I simplify anything? Yes, I can. The 2 and the 4. 15 divided by, no, I can't. So I'm going to get 122 on top over 15 hot dogs. But nobody talks like that. So 122 divided by 15, I figure that's 8. So if you go 8, it's 0, 4, so it's 8, 0, 120, 2 left over. So that means he ate 8 hot dogs and 2/15 of the next one per minute. So 8 and a little bit hot dogs per minute, which is crazy. And what's this like? Last question that I'm going to do. Number 10. Andre took a trip from Boston to Paris, France. Wow, okay. He flew 3,669 and 4/5 of a mile in 6 2/3 of an hour. Yikes. So we want to change that to 1 hour. So how much did the plane fly per hour? Well, we have a calculator, so let's change this. So at the bottom, 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20 over 3 hours. Right, it means the same thing. On the top, I'm going to multiply that whole thing by 5. You're going to get 3,669 times 5 equals plus 4. It's going to give us 18,349 over 5 miles. So we got to change this to 1 hour. Right, so we're going to multiply this by 3 over 20. Cancel, 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 simplify, sorry. And then on top by 3 over 20. Yikes. So we're going to get this ridiculously large number, and 5 times 20 at the bottom is 100. Right, and on top I'm going to get 18,349 times 3, which is going to give us 55,047, which if I divide by 100, it makes this 550 miles, 0.47 miles. 550.47 miles in 1 hour. So that was the speed of the airplane, or again, you could have written as 550 miles, 47 over 100. 550 and 47 over 100 of the next mile. So any of these 3 versions would have been fine. Okay, so I will stop here.